And once everyone would be done, everyone will be all fine. Give me a yes. We'll take a recap for the things that we did in yesterday's session. And then we'll set the agenda and we'll be starting off with few other different things as well. Okay. Today's session is going to be important. We will see a lot of different things that I'm pretty sure you didn't have seen it. You can actually, but yeah, don't do it. Just keep your full name. Rest, keep everything on us. We'll take care of it. Good morning, Suraj. A very good morning to you as well. Guys, all good, all set. Bhuvnesh wallpaper change. I'll set it soon. Just for the just for the look and feel, I'm just keeping this up. So yeah, that way. Okay. All right. So are you guys all ready? Shall we start? Timings is going to be 10 to 12. So 10 to 12. Let's begin. Okay, let's begin. Definitely karna. Pointy way, we have to do it. Chalo, cool. So let's start off. Unable to load Discord? Update your Discord. Okay, update it and then join in. All right. So let's start off with few things. Let's take on a quick recap first, and then we'll move ahead and start to discuss. And we'll set the agenda, then we'll do something. Okay. So yeah, that way we'll keep it very, very simple, very, very straightforward, and we'll do that. And yeah, even for the people who are joining here for the very first time, I just want you guys to have a look on LinkedIn. Just in case if you fail to join or something happens, you can reach me up anytime. Discord link, wait, I'll share it out with you. Okay, here's the link. Damn. Okay. So here is my LinkedIn, just in case if you get stuck anywhere, do just text me, I'll help you out with that. Okay. And also here's the Innomatics page for different things that you will be doing. No audio. I hope everyone can hear me properly. Okay, so here's the link for Innomatics page. We'll be coming up with internship, a lot of different things. School stuff is coming up. So yeah, keep yourself, stay tuned. Okay, and we'll be doing a lot of stuff. I haven't. I'm really sorry. I just went through few. I'll do it today. I'm pretty sure about that. I'll do it. I'll sit and do it. Please. I'm really sorry for that. Okay, I'll do that. Cool. So shall we start? Shall we start? Let's quickly start off so that we will be having much about a time wherein we'll be, discussing off with a lot of different other things as well. Cool. So let's start off. All right. Now, yesterday we started off, we had a pretty clear understanding of what full stack as a career path could be. What could be done? What are all the different things that you'll be seeing throughout when you become a full stack developer? Now, when you call yourself as to be a full stack developer, it's not like that you cannot go into two different ends. As I said, there are two paths that you can choose of. Either it could be, a front-end developer or a back-end developer, or you could be a full stack developer as well. So it's nothing like that. Okay. So in that particular front, I will be highly recommending that you choose a path for full stack because, of course, the salary perspective or the earning perspective of a full stack developer as compared to that of front-end developer or back-end developer is pretty nice. Okay. So yeah, and I also told you about few tech stacks that you'll be coming out throughout the journey when you'll be doing your full stack as a course. A lot of technologies. Okay. And the very first part that we'll be seeing as negro. So the very first part that we'll be seeing is the front-end development part, wherein we'll be having a look on your HTML and CSS, and we'll be creating UIs for the user. That's it. right? We'll come up with a lot of different other workshops as well, okay? And we'll have a look on a few other verticals as well, maybe few frameworks or something. We can do that. But yeah, but as of now, we'll just focus on the UI part. Then we started off with the important part, the HTML part, and we talked about few things. The very first thing that I talked about is the text editor. The text editor I am using and the text editor which I highly recommend is Visual Studio Code. Now, again, it's just a recommendation. You can stick up to your own text editors, maybe Notepad++, Sublime, Notepad, wherever you want to write your text or write your code, you can go ahead and write your code. That's completely fine. The second thing that I told you, the very usual way that I use Visual Studio Code is because of extensions. Extensions, you will find a lot of different extensions out here. The one which is really important to me is Live Server. You can go ahead and look for Live Server, install Live Server. And what it basically does, it gives you the live reloading of the page. Whatever changes you'll be making throughout the page, you can just save the document and the changes will reflect automatically. No need of reloading your page or doing anything like that. Okay. So that way we created up a small little dummy HTML code out here. Now, the very first thing that we saw that even if you keep writing code or writing stuff in the HTML document, nothing's going to happen. It will get rendered. The point is, it will get rendered. The point here is to understand is that it's not the right way of doing it. Though, even if it get rendered, anyhow, you saw that there were three segments that were created automatically for us. The HTML segment, which is the main parent segment, and inside this HTML segment, we have two more segments, the head segment and the body segment. Then we had a categorization on that what head contains, as we had discussed. Head contains the meta information of the content, and the body contains the actual content of the website, of the web page, right? Then we had started having a discussion on tags and elements, right? So whatever content that you will be writing in the body, you will be using tags and elements to, write your content up. Depending upon what kind of content you want to write, what kind of content you want to structure, you will use designated tags and elements for that. Now, the very first tag or the very first element that we had a look on was the heading element. Now, this heading element basically ranges from H1 to H6. Higher will be the number, smaller would be the font size of the heading. That's what we saw, right? So the way of writing any tag or any element is going to be that you have to have a opening tag and you have to have a closing tag. Just a second. Let me actually open this up on Chrome, rather. Yeah, right. Definitely will do that. Why is it not loading? Let's keep it this way. Let's keep it localhost 5500/index.html. Cool. So yeah, let's start off, shall we? Start cutting. All right. So yesterday we created up few headings, and in these headings we were just mentioning the headings. As I said, higher would be the number of the headings, smaller would be the font size. Then also we had a discussion on what is called as a block level elements and inline elements. Remember that? Guys, remember that? Block level elements and inline elements. Yeah. So block level elements, as we discussed, that even if you write content just on the new line, the line with the content will not be aligned in the new line. Like that's the default how HTML works, right? You have to create and contain that content inside a block level element for them to be aligned from top and bottom. Do you remember that yellow colored line at the top and at the bottom? Remember that? Yeah. And I told you this is the best way to identify something if it's a block level element or it's an inline element, right? And when you ever get confused between both of them, just make sure that you inspect the page and you see that And once you see that, you will get an idea, oh, this is a block level element or this is an inline element. Why is this not working? Wait a second. I think I have to reload my Visual Studio Code. Sometimes it just doesn't work. So screen is not shared, guys. I hope everyone is able to see the screen. You are, right? Never mind that. Yeah. Cool. So this is what we did, right? So you could see that there is a heading one, which you can see down here. And again, somebody was asking me at the end of the session, why is this not getting seen? The reason is comments. Remember, we had a discussion on comments. If you comment something, that will not get rendered. Now, because this is there, okay? So this is how we do it. And next thing that we had to look on, that you can use comments. You could see that I'm wrapping this around with the comment. So any of the content which is wrapped around with the comment, you're not going to see that. You're not going to see that getting rendered, right? Then we had to look on the heading elements that you could see down here. Now, higher is the number of the heading, the smaller is the font size. That is what we saw yesterday, right? Then later on, we also had a discussion that there is another type of element as well, which is self-ending or self-closing elements. Self-ending and self-closing elements Okay, great. Thanks, Tusha. That will work. Okay, so next thing we had to look on, again, the break tag. The break, again, is a self-ending tag, just like HR. HR just basically draws a line for you, and wherein break just brings the content to the new line. You can break any content pretty much however that you want to. And then I had a discussion about two block level elements. Again, if you try to go ahead and inspect them, you're going to see that there is a yellow colored line at the top and the bottom. Similarly, as you will inspect around with the paragraph as well, you're going to find the same thing again, right? Now, the point is, what about anchor tags? Because remember, yesterday we started to talk off on links. Now, if you again go ahead and inspect this, you'll find out that anchor is what kind of element? Is it a block level or is it an inline element? Guys, what kind of element is this? Is it a block level or is it inline? Just see the inspection and you'll get an idea. Yeah, it's an inline element, right? It's not going to come by default to the next line, right? You'll have to make it come to the next line. All right, so please keep that in mind. Now, we yesterday had started to have a discussion on links. Typically images we'll see, but typically links. And I told you that when you have links, the links are of three types: absolute link, relative link, and root relative link. Okay, so when we have these links, as we had a discussion about that, so whenever you talk about links, the links will be of three types or of three categories. Either it could be an absolute link, or it could be a relative link, or it could be a root relative link, right? Now, what's the difference between all the three of them? First difference, we have already seen a absolute link is going to be a link which has an absolute path or which is already available in the internet, right? Available on the internet. So there is an absolute path to go onto some resource. The link of that resource is called as an absolute link, which is already available on the internet. You know the absolute path, how to navigate across with them. That is going to be the absolute link. Now, what about relative link? What are relative link? Before we go ahead and talk about relative link, we also had a discussion about HTML attributes. What are HTML attributes? It's a way where you can present or give more information to your HTML element. When you want to give more and more information to your HTML elements, you use these something called as HTML attributes. Now, different elements have different HTML attributes. So you have to be very, very particular about what element you're using and what, what type of attribute you want to pass to that element. We'll see a couple of attributes here in the anchor tag as well, so don't worry about that. Okay, so this is what we have. Absolute link. Any doubts still here? Any doubts still here? Anything you want to ask? All good? Yeah, and we'll go to from basic HTML to basic HTML5 to intermediate HTML5. So don't worry about that. Okay. Now down here, as you'll see, that try and understand the problem statement. Now, if you're giving an absolute link, there is a problem with absolute link. When you give absolute link, it's an absolute path to go somewhere, right? Can you repeat HTML tool? Didn't get you. You're talking about the inspection tool, this down here. We'll talk about it. Just give me a second, okay? So if you are using absolute link and the absolute link is gonna work, it's gonna work anyhow. If you'll click to Google, it will navigate you to Google. But the point is, you are leaving your page. Now try and understand this way. You would be really wanting that if you're giving an absolute link to some path or some resource, do you want your user to actually go ahead and change or go ahead and leave the application that you are in right now? Do you want your user to leave your application? Definitely not. Do you need that? Definitely not. So we can actually talk about that by saying that how the page should work when somebody clicks on it by giving another HTML attribute, which is called as target. So there is a attribute called as target. So this target, if you keep it as underscore blank and save that, now you will see that if you click on the page, you'll see that the page is going to open to a new tab. Make sense? Yes, it will open to a new tab. This way, you are making your user go to the new resource, and also you are asking your user not to leave the application. As simple as this, right? So always keep in mind, and this is a good habit, whenever you're giving an absolute link to any resource, please make sure that you keep your target as to be blank or give it to the new tab rather than opening it in the same tab. So this is a good habit. Always keep that in mind. Okay, and always keep this in practice also. Great. So now what we'll be doing, we will have a look on few other links as well. So this was absolute link. Now, what are relative links? Let's talk about that. When you talk about a relative link, now try and understand this way. Let's say I have another file out here. Let's say I'm just gonna call this second.html. Now this second.html, we don't have like much of a content down here. Now keep in mind, this page is a part of the application, right? We are just want to make multiple pages. Let's say I'm just making a home page right now, right? So all the content which goes relative to the home, it's gonna be in the home page. Let's say I just wanted to create another page to my application, right? So down here, now don't freak out. We'll talk about it, but don't freak out as of now. I'm just gonna do something for the people who are looking into VS Code and Emits for the very first time. Don't freak out. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna create a boilerplate code, okay? And I'm just gonna, you'll see that few of the dummy texts is out here. I'll explain this text to you, but as of now, don't freak out, okay? Out here, let's actually give it a title. Now we have already discussed about title in yesterday's session, but yeah. No, if you don't keep the target as blank, it's not going to open to the new tab. By default, it's going to open in the same tab, which you most probably won't be wanting, right? So if you keep the target as blank, then only it's going to work. So let's keep it, let's keep the page as to be second page, right? And let's come down here and let's give it an H1. Let's call this is the second page. All right, just like this. Lorem 20, Lorem 30, Lorem 200, whatever you want to keep it. Okay. So down here, now the problem here arises that if I want to open that up, right? If I want to open the page, I don't know how to open that page. Both Tejas, both. It's not like HTML is different and HTML5 is different. HTML5 is the accumulation of HTML with few added advantages. Those added advantages we'll talk about, Tejas. Okay, so we are learning HTML5, not HTML. Okay, so out here, right now, the point here arises: how will I go to that page? I don't know how to go onto that page. So here, Aryan, this is not as simple as this, how it looks like. Let me actually give you. When you talk about relative link, you can do the same thing with anchor tags as well. So let's say I'll just give it an anchor tag, and I'm just going to say click here to go to second page. Let's say second page. Now again, if I save this, reload, you're going to find it coming on the same line, because again, keep in mind, it's an inline element. So please make sure that you add break before you add this part. Now if you save this, it will come to the new line automatically, right? Just like this. So here we want to click to a second page, but this is typically not going anywhere, right? The href attribute is blank. You have not kept anything. It's simply blank. Now out here, when you talk about relative links are always given to the pages or whatever content that you're creating, or different pages that you're creating, which belongs to the same application. We are creating a page, we are creating an application, and we want to give it this way, right? Now, a lot of people are putting that in the chat section, that if you just simply go ahead and put it something like this, let's say second.html, and save that and reload the page, of course it will work. If you click out here, it will take you to second page, which is completely fine. This is called as relative link, relative to the main application that you have, relative to the home page. Where do you want to go? That is called as a relative link. But there are multiple ways of writing relative links also. You'll find a lot of people writing relative links like this, saying first they'll put a hash and then they'll go to second page.html. Again, if you reload it, it will take you to second page. That's not, what did I do? Why is, oh, it's deprecated or something? Wait a second. No. I don't know why first the reloading page is not working, but never mind. Okay, so there are multiple ways of writing, your relative links. You'll find few people giving it a / also, and then going to second.html. That is also something that you can do. And then you'll also find a lot of people writing it like this, that if you're giving second.html or any relative link, you can put a dot and then put a / When you're writing dot and / basically means that you are navigating onto the same folder. Please keep that in mind, that you are referring to the same currently working folder, right? I'll give you a few things in a little second. Wait for images to start, and then you'll be able to understand what are the differences between / dot / and few other things as well, right? So dot / basically means the same current folder that I'm working in right now. So if you put dot /, that means current working directory or current working folder. Then there is also something which is called as dot /. Dot /, if you'll see, it will take you to a folder back. Getting the point, guys? Getting the point, right? So there are multiple ways of giving relative link in the HTML. You can put just / and give it. / is just going to be in the same folder, in the same directory, in the same path that I'm working in right now. The same thing, right? It's just like terminal. It's just like CMD. Of course, it's just like CMD, right? If you are putting / again, you mean in the present working folder or in the present working directory. Again, dot / again means the same thing. And then you have dot /, which basically takes you to a folder backwards. That's simple as that, right? So down from here, you can again go to FSD workshop, and from FSD workshop, you can go to second.html. That is also something that you can do. But keep it simple. If you are writing, if you're working on the same folder, on the same present working directory, you can just simply go ahead and write the name, save that, and it should work completely fine, right? Just like this. Again, you can also keep it something like dot forward slash, which means, dot forward slash, which means the same present working directory. Again, if you go ahead and reload this, you'll find it working completely fine. Does this make sense, guys? Is it making sense? Links, specifically relative links, and how to write relative links. Please keep that in mind. And this is how we do it. If we don't write target as for blank, it will open the absolute link on the same page, just like this. Oh, sorry, I didn't reload the page. So if you reload it, click on it, it will open on the same page, right? But you don't want your user to leave your website and go to some other website, because absolute link is already there on the internet, right? So you don't want to do that. Rather, what you should be doing is that you should be adding target as to be blank, so that if you're giving a absolute link, it opens to the new tab and your user doesn't leave your app. So yeah, this is how I'm gonna sum this up, right? So it's very simple that if you're talking about relative links, specifically relative links are important. Relative links, there are 4 ways of navigating to different things. Either if you are working, so keep in mind, if working on the same folder, working on same path and folder, then you can simply just give the name, just like second.html, just like we did. If you want to navigate something based on path, then what you can do, the same thing can also be done using /second.html. That also means the same thing, but we have different ways of writing the same part, right? Now, you will also find people writing something like this, that they use, rather than writing slash or just not writing anything, they will be writing, if you want to go to the same path and same folder, they will have a habit of writing dot forward slash and then giving second.html. All the 3 things are same, but the way of writing is different. And just keep in mind, HTML allows this, right? HTML allows this, that is why we are able to write it. Third thing, that if you want to go to a back folder, so if you want to go or want to navigate to the previous folder, you can do that by writing something like dot forward slash the previous folder, and from that previous folder, whatever file name that you want to access, you can use that file name dot extension, right? Just like this. Got the point? We're talking about root relative link. Just give me a second, Suraj. I hope the relative link is fine. Relative links are fine. The 4 ways of writing relative link is fine for everyone. Sure. Great. Now, if you talk about relative link, okay, if you talk about relative link is working fine, which is working completely fine. Now, the point here arises. See, try and understand. Try to understand the UX. No, you cannot use 3 dots. Now, that's a complete different part. No, that is used in JavaScript. That's called as a spread operator. I'm not pretty sure how many of you have had a look on JavaScript, but that's a spread operator. We don't use it in HTML. Okay, so if you talk about the second page, now I'm discussing the root relative link on the perspective of the user experience. Whatever user experience you want to give it to your user. Now, if you're going to the second page, try and understand this, okay? If you're going to the second page, now your user lands onto the second page, but he doesn't know how to go back to the main page. Do you agree with me? You might have found a lot of websites which have the homepage link directly attached to their logo, the logo that they keep in the navigation bar. We'll talk about navigation bar in detail at the time when we'll be doing CSS. But when we have the navigation bar, you find that in the logo, you have a way to go back to home. That is what is called as a root relative link. Root relative link is a link which tells how to go back to the root where you came out from, which is a home component. The home component that we have created. So please keep in mind, when you're working on root relative links, in the root relative link, the link which navigates to your home folder or to the root file, that is called as a root relative link. So here what we are creating is the root relative link. Okay, so please keep that in mind. Now, how to put a root relative link? Again, you will just call it, or rather than keeping it out here, let me actually put it on the top of before I post the heading, right? So that it looks little pretty. So down here, what will I do? I'll say home, just go to home. And how will you go back to home? Again, dot forward slash or just forward slash, or you can use whatever you want. I'm just going with dot forward slash. And let's go to home.html. Now, if I save this, reload the page, now you'll see a link to navigate you to home page. Now this experience looks better, wherein your user doesn't have to press the back button. Make sense, guys? Does this make sense? Ajay, I have told you multiple times, 10 to 12. It's just 10 to 12. Okay? 10 to 12. So this is a better user experience, right? So you're making it navigate to the second page, and then from second page, you can come back to the home page or the root page. So that is how we look into it. No, relative link, see, relative link are for other pages, as I said, Anji, as I started off with. Relative links are for other pages. We are here talking about the main page, the home page. That is why it's called as root relative link. Make sense? So any link which contains the path to your main page or to your root page or home page, that is called as a root relative link. Got the point, Anji? So that is how we talk about links. So if you're good with links, kindly give me a quick yes in the chat section, and then we'll move ahead and start to discuss off with images. So this is what we did is links. Yes, correct. Right? So this is your links part. Now what we'll be doing, we'll be talking about images. Images is really, really important part of your HTML. You'll not find any web page or any website which doesn't have images. Every HTML will have images. Somewhere or the other, they'll be using images somewhere or the other. Maybe background images, maybe images to display something or anything like that, but they'll have images no matter what, right? Starting from the favicon, the link that you see down here, kind of like a logo onto the tab that is called as a favicon. Either it could be a favicon or just a background image or any images that they are using throughout the web page. Okay, so images plays a very, very vital role when you're creating any website or when you're creating any web page. Yeah, right, Ajay. Okay, so images are a very important part. Very, very important part. Now, when you talk about images and importing images, it's always a good habit of a developer, specifically a front-end developer, to keep your images segregated from the application that you're creating. For that, you'll find a lot of people doing is that what they do, they create a folder down here. A folder, and you can name it whatever you want to. I'm just keeping them assets. Okay, you can keep them images, you can keep whatever you want to, but whatever images which are related to your application will be inside this folder called as assets, right? Assets is just going to contain all the, you could say, all the, images and stuff like that. Okay, let me actually check if I have images, those different images that was supposed to be done. Let me actually check that. Maybe I would have it, maybe I won't. Let me actually check that off. Images. I'm not sure if we have that images. Let's see. Oh, I think I'll have them in my GitHub. Just a second. I'll get those from my GitHub. And I'll discuss about with different types of images, what to use when, because you should be knowing that. Okay. So most probably I'll have them down here. I'll have to download them. I'm not pretty sure where have I kept them though. Yeah, I think this would contain images. No, this is something else. There would be the images maybe in the HTML. There are images. No, these are not the images. Just give me a second. Huh? So I just want to like show you different types of images. Even this is not the one. I think this would have it. I don't have images. Something. This would definitely have those images. Yeah, right. So I just want to like grant them one by one, maybe. So I'll have to... And I'll explain it to you, don't worry. Oh, you know what I can do? Yeah, this would be a better option. All right. Guys, are you ready? Are you ready? I'll make that work, Shravan. Don't worry about it. I'll make it work. Are you ready? Now let's start to talk of images for a while. Okay. Now in the images, as you'll see, I have 4 types of images. Okay. And generally you're going to find out these images onto all these 4 types of images, or 4, I should say, extensions of the images. There is one image which is called as .png image. Then there is one image which is called as not like this. Then there is another image which is of JPG image. And then you have another type of an image which is called as a PNG image. And I'll explain you when to use what. And then there is another image which is called as an SVG image, as you'll see down here. This is an SVG image, right? The type is SVG. So we have 4 types. PNG, no. Yeah, so we have PNG, JPG, and the 4th type typically here is a GIF. I'm pretty sure a lot of people know about GIFs. You play around with GIFs, don't you? Played around with GIFs? So one, we have a GIF, then we have a SVG, then we have a PNG, and then we have a JPG. So these are the 4 formats of images. These formats are used very interchangeably depending upon what kind of image you want to put and where do you want to put that image, right? Should I give you a little explanation on when to use what, if you're interested? Yeah, do you want to have a look on it? Chalo, let's have a look on it. Now, when you talk about images, selecting right type of image for right perspective is always going to be a very important part. Images, as I said, as I just explained to you, they are of 4 types or 4 formats of images. One is JPG image. Another one is PNG image. Another one is SVG image. And then you have a GIF image. Okay. JPG images are mostly somewhat HD, but not really. It basically ranges from 720p to 1080p. Okay. And whenever you will be using JPG images, you will be adding them to your body, right? For example, when you want to display a content in the form of cards or a card wherein you will be having images which will be explaining few things, right? When you want to add, for example, I'll give you a better example rather. Let's say, what do you have? You have a web page, right? You have a web page, something like this. In that web page, you have a navigation bar, let's say, a navigation bar, something like this, right? After that, what do you have? You have the main body. The main body looks something like this. Now, inside that main body, let's say you're trying to create Pinterest kind of like an application, wherein you want to give one image like this, the another image like this, just a second, and another image like this, and this. Damn, I cannot draw that. And so on. I hope you got the point, right? So in the body itself, you want to keep on posting images like this, right? So when you're trying to do it this way, wherein in the body itself you want to add any images like cards maybe, then you would be using .jpg images. Please keep that in mind. Yeah, I'll do that. When you're creating something like a form of a cards, then you'll be using JPG images because they are good quality, not too much HD, but a good quality images. So you can go ahead and use them. But when you talk about PNG images ranges from HD to 4K images, a very high definition images. These images are mostly used for background purposes only. Please keep that in mind. Getting the point, guys? Getting the point? I'm not gonna go into like what it's shorts for or something, but you got the point. When to use JPG and when to use PNG. JPG for the body itself. When you want to create something, a very high definition 4K image, which is a PNG image, you'll set it on the background. And of course, when you have GIFs, you can use them as logos also. Have you seen kind of like the logo wherein they create a GIFs for that? And that basically disintegrates. You haven't seen it? Have you ever seen that kind of like a thing? A GIF? No? Never seen that? Okay. I might have. Wait, I'll have to open my email for that. Just give me a second, okay? I just want to like give you a full-fledged just a second, I'll open my email. Please excuse me for that. So I'll open my email and there definitely I'll have the website, which I recently designed. So if I go to the chat and if I try to grab that, okay, so are you ready to see that? Yeah, just like this. Can you see this now? A GIF, which is playing down here. Can you see that GIF? So a lot of time you'll find GIFs being a part of the logo, right? A disintegrating logo. Got it? You might have find a lot of, you might have find a lot of web pages, web applications doing like this. So this is the best use case of when you'll be using GIFs throughout, right? So this is how the GIFs looks like. So we were creating this application for somebody, but yeah, you got an idea, right? You got an idea when to use what. So GIFs, most probably you're going to find it like used in the logos or making animated logos and stuff like that. Okay. And then we have SVG images. SVG images, most probably 99% of the time, you're not going to use SVG images, but SVG images basically have directions. Directions as in like the images changes based on which location from the desktop or the viewport you're looking for. It might change. What happening like when you used to be kids, there used to be a card which used to like, if you used to like take it on to different multiple parallels, it used to change its shape. Well, other than a Pokemon wala, have you seen that? So it used to be a one version of the Pokemon, then you used to slide it up a little bit, and then it used to change to a evolved version of the another Pokemon. Have you seen that? So basically, SVG is the same thing, which has a direction property involved with it. 99% of the time, you're not going to use it, and you're not going to see it on your website. But keep in mind, it exists, right? It exists. So that's what we'll be doing throughout. We will be navigating these. Can you show an example of an SVG image? Of course, this is an SVG image. I'm not pretty sure if you can see that, but this is how it is. An SVG image. Okay. This is an SVG image, but the extension is SVG, but it's not working like an SVG. If I find it, I'll share it in the Discord group itself. Now you're a part of a group. You can post your doubts there as well. But yeah, I'll give you an example of an SVG and I'll post it in your groups itself. Okay, Anji? I'll do that. And you can go ahead and integrate it in your application and you'll be trying to do or try to write the code by your own self. So are you ready? Shall we integrate images in our application? So if you're ready, we can have a look on it. Shall we start? Shall we start, guys? If you're ready, I'm ready. Nice. Now, When you talk about images, now again, listen to me very, very carefully. When you talk about images, when you integrate images, you have to keep the links in mind. That again, if you're giving an image, this image is not going to do anything for you. And keep in mind, image is a self-ending tag. It's a self-ending tag or a self-ending element, just like img, just image, nothing else. It's a self-ending tag. But again, if you just save this, reload that, nothing's gonna happen. You'll see nothing will happen. You will have that image there, but it's not going to do anything for you. As you'll see out here, there is an image, but it never does anything for you, right? How will we make it work? We'll make it work by giving it HTML attributes. And here the HTML attribute which is used is called as source. So source basically takes in the image URL, and that image URL, you can use it in your document. Now, the kind of the image URL or the image link that you'll be providing to your image, that varies. How does it varies? If you're keeping an image, you can give it either an absolute link to an image, or you can give it a relative link to an image. Let me give you an example. Let's say I have images down here, and I have an absolute link to go to these websites or to these images. So let's integrate them. Let's integrate this JPG image. So I'll copy this link, which is an absolute link to an image, and I'll paste it in my document just like this. Okay. And now if I save this, not this, but if I save this and reload my page, you're going to see that image will pop up. Getting the point, guys? Getting the point? So if you have any image which is directly available on the internet, let me actually give you a better example. Let's go to Google. Okay, let's go to Google, and let's say we are trying to find out a sample image, or let's say a landscape image. Let's say landscape images. Yeah, we can, but not using HTML, using CSS. And let's say I have few landscape images down here. I think this looks pretty. So let's right click on it, and let's click on open image in the new tab. Or also you can directly do is copy image address. But let me actually give you a better idea. Let's open the image in the new tab. When you open the image on the new tab, this image is just image, wherein this is the URL to reach to that image. If I copy this and come down and create another image, just like this, let's say image, and down here, I give it the source attribute, and in that source attribute, I paste that. Now it's a very lengthy thing. I'm just gonna get rid of it pretty soon. But let's save that and see it in action. Then again, if I reload the page, you're going to see that the image gets loaded in your application. Of course, we'll talk about that. Rather than pasting direct links, there is another option also. Got the point, guys? This absolute link makes sense to everyone? Absolute link makes sense to everyone? That how is this working? Absolute link to images, right? Now, a quick question from everyone. What are images? Is images a block level element or is it an inline element? Just see and you'll get an idea. What is it? It's an inline element. Oh, no, it's not block. It's inline element. You'll see both the images are coming side to side to each other. It's not coming on the new line. Got the point? So please keep that in mind. And this link is damn lengthy, so I'm just gonna get rid of that. Okay. Now you got an idea how to integrate a absolute link. Now I'll tell you what's an other perspective to that. When you have an image, what you can do, you can download that image. Okay. And please make sure if you're working on a production-based application, don't download images from Google. Either make your graphic designer or a graphic design or somebody who can create images for you and ask him to create images rather than down, because there could be a copyright issue. But this is just for training purposes, so I can use it. So let's say save image as, and let's save this image to the desktop. And from the desktop, I will go to my FSD workshop. And from that FSD workshop, I'll go to assets and I'll name them as, let's say, picture_1. Let's say, and let's save that. So you'll see that it's a JPG image, right? JPEG and JPG is one and the same thing. So don't get confused. Oh, this is JPEG. JPEG, JPG is one and the same thing. Okay. Now again, if I save this and reload the page, the image would be gone. But now what I can do, I can pass it with a relative link. What I'll do, I'll go to my folder, the present working folder. Then I'll go to assets because I pasted that or downloaded that picture there and give the link to the picture1.jpg. Again, if I save this, reload the page, you'll see that it's working fine. Got the point? Got the point? You can do that. Definitely can do that, Tejas. Okay. So this is how we use images. Images as an absolute link also, or images as a downloaded and putting it in the folder. Okay. Saurabh, this is a part of styling. We are not talking about styling. Here we are only looking into the creation, or I should say the structure of the web page. The structure of the web page is important first. The extensions that I'm using for VS Code, we'll talk about it at the end of the session. Okay? I'll repeat once more. Arun, I'll do that. I'll definitely will do that. So let's quickly take a recap on images. Images, you can integrate images by using an IMG tag. See, इस वाले case में, guys, इस वाले case में, the link that you're passing, this link is a relative link. All right, this is a relative link, and this is an absolute link. Let me show you how. If I paste this in my chat section, now this link, if you'll click on this link, the image will open in your system also and in my system because it's global. It's available for everybody, right? So this link that I'm passing out here for this image, the link is nothing but absolute link. Because as I said, absolute link, which is pretty much available throughout the internet, right? So you can use absolute link also, and you can use relative link also in order to render your images. So please keep that in mind. All right, guys, make sense now? All good till here? Anything that you want to ask? Anything that you want to ask? Sure, great. Now there is a problem with the setup. There is a problem with the setup. What is the problem with the setup? That in the absolute link, if something goes wrong, how to go to assets? Again, using the same thing. Use either // then from // go to assets, and from assets go to picture1.jpg. Assets, I created a folder, remember? I told you that in the assets, you are going to contain all the other parts also, right? Any external sources, any videos, maybe images, whatever you want to go ahead and contain it inside there, that is what you can go ahead and do. Okay, guys? It's just a folder, nothing else. It's just a folder. Go inside the main folder that you have. So this is my main folder. Inside that folder, just go ahead and create another folder. That's it. Yeah, got it. Just go ahead and create a folder and just contain all the images. So you'll see all the images are down here. Okay, so don't get confused. It's pretty simple, very straightforward. Guys, if you're good till here, just quickly give me a yes. We are moving ahead. Shall we start? Let's discuss on few parts. Now, there is a problem with this setup. What is the problem with this setup? That if something goes wrong here, let's say I wrote it 202. If I save this link is not valid now, right? If I reload this page, the image is gone. Can you see that? The image is gone and the image is broken. Everyone is able to see this? The image is gone and the image is broken. Now your user knows there was supposed to be an image, but what was this image about? You have literally no idea on that, right? So as a front-end developer, you should always have a habit of writing another attribute called as alternative attribute or alt attribute. What it does that if something goes wrong with your image, what it basically does, it renders this text rather than rendering the image. So I'll say an example image. Now again, if I save this, reload the page, you're going to find that image is broken, but your user knows what this image is about. Got the point? And it's always a good habit of writing this. Always a good habit of writing this. Okay? And keep in mind, if the image is there, so it's not going to show that text. But if the image is not there, if the image is not getting rendered, in that case, what you'll have to do, you have to pass it with an alt so that your user can know what that image was about. If you're good till here, just quickly give me a yes, then we'll move ahead. Quickly. All good? All set? Sure? Images feel comfortable with? I said, yeah, it's just like if the image is not getting rendered, just like this. You gave it an absolute path, but the link, see, it could happen if you're downloading or getting the image directly from the internet, it could get deleted, right? The person who posted that internet can take that image down. Yes or no? Even in the relative also, might be a situation the relative think that you pass, somehow you deleted that, or something goes, something goes wrong. Like, I don't know what, but something goes wrong. Got a point? So in that case, where is an example image type? It will not be shown if the image is getting rendered. Guys, samjho, try and understand. Don't get confused. Alt is only going to be there in the document if this is not right, if the link is not right. Just in this case, because now the link is not right, the image is broken. It cannot find the image. The image is not there. That is why it's showing you the alt saying, hey, there was an image and the image was about an example image, but I cannot find that image. That image is broken. But if the image is working fine, then what's the use of pointing it to the alt? It's just image. It's getting rendered. Make sense now, everyone? What is alt? Alt is just an alternative. Alternative, what if it doesn't get rendered, right? If it doesn't get rendered, then go ahead and use this alt. Okay? Yeah, it's kind of like a 404. Exactly. Resource not. Exactly. What will happen if the image couldn't be found or couldn't be rendered? So that way, you can use the alt tag. Great. So shall we move ahead now? If you're ready, we can move ahead. Shall we move ahead? Yeah? Great. So let's put an HR and let's move to something which is called as HTML lists. Okay? And these lists are really, really important. We'll talk about these lists. Yeah, so images and self-ending inline element. Yes, true. Now what we'll be talking about HTML lists. HTML lists are a very, very important part of HTML, and not just HTML, even CSS. When we'll be doing a lot of stuff, when we'll be creating panels, wells, and all these things in CSS and Bootstrap, these lists are going to help you. Even navigation bar is a list by default, but they're styled in a way which you don't get it. Okay? But please try and understand lists in very, 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 very higher mode. Okay? So what are we looking into? We are looking into lists. Okay? So let's have a look on lists. Now, lists is a very important part, as I just said. Okay, I'm not able, okay, don't freak out, but I'm just doing something out here. And I'm just gonna say, so that I'll be able to scroll that off. Okay. So just so that I can scroll, I'm just putting this now. I'll explain this to you, but don't worry about it. Yeah, it's CSS basically. All right. So out here, now forget this. Don't get into it. Forget this. But yeah, we'll explain that laterwards, not right now. Okay. So now what we'll be doing, we are going to talk about lists. Lists, as I said, it plays a very vital role. What is CSS? Kaushik, you were not there for yesterday's session. I think you weren't. You were not there in yesterday's session. So CSS, I told you, it's a technology. Yeah, it's a technology that is used for styling documents. Cool. So there are typically two types of lists in HTML. Okay, two types of lists in HTML. One type is called as an ordered list. Sometimes people call it OL, ordered list. And then there is another type which is called as unordered list, which is called as UL, not IL, UL. Now, what's the difference between both of them? The simple difference is going to be that OL will be a numbered or a ordered list, or I should just write a numbered list. Okay, what is it going to be? It's going to be a numbered list. Now, in the numbered list, if let's suppose how to create that, let's talk about that. Yeah, definitely, Preeti. So if you're creating a OL is basically a way of creating list items, an ordered list which contains a list item inside that. So let's call it item 1, copy, and let's create, let's say 5 list items. So list item 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. If I save this and reload the page, you will find that whatever you're putting inside LI, inside OL, this will be printed as a numbered list. Everyone can see that? It's a numbered list. By default, and keep in mind, by default, these will be numeric numbers. But you can change them. I'll tell you how. But I hope you got the point that if you have an OL and you're containing list item inside it, LI basically shorts for list item. So if you have list item inside that, these list item will be a numbered list. By default, a numeric numbers. But you can change the type. So there is a HTML attribute called as type. You can mention the type as for by default, it's going to be 1, but you can set the type as to be a capital A or small a or Roman capital or Roman small. So most of the time, either you'll find people writing it this way. So you can just write it this way. If I reload this, you'll see the Roman numerals. You can also write capital I, which will be the capital Romans, just like this. You can also use capital A, which will be A, B, C, D, E, right? It just change the way how you're ordering them. Or you can also give it a small A, B, C, D, E, the small alphabets, and it's going to look something like this. Got the point? Yeah, definitely. Definitely. Then you'll have to use CSS with CSS. Okay? Most of the time, listen to me carefully. Most of the time, you're not going to use ordered list. Most of the time, you're not going to use ordered list. There's something which is called as decoration. We'll talk about decorations. But yeah, most of the time, you're not going to work on ordered list. Got it? Yeah, I'll explain it. मैंने simply इतना बोला that we are looking into HTML lists. Lists are of 2 types. One is an ordered list. The another one is an unordered list. Ordered list is represented by OL. OL means ordered list. Inside this ordered list, if you contain LI, which is list item, they will be represented as numbered list, right? In that case, the numbers by default are start from 1. Like if you don't give it a type, it will start from 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and stuff like that. But you can change the type, as I just told you, that you can change the type. The type could be A, the type could be capital A, the type could be capital I, which will be Roman, or small I, that could be smaller Romans, right? And as I said, most of the time you're not going to work with ordered list. Most of the time you're going to work on unordered list. So if you're okay, if you're good with ordered list, give me a yes in the chat section and then we'll start off with unordered list quickly. All good? All set? Great. Now, unordered list, again, as I said, it's going to be just bullet representation. Nothing like that. No diamonds, no hand symbols, no nothing, just bullet point representation of a data. Just a bullet point representation. Any reasons? The reason is we don't like bullet points and we remove bullet points very quickly. Okay, and you can paste whatever you want to apart from that. But if you're using ordered list, you cannot get rid of these orderings, right? So these orderings are pretty much ordered, right? That is one of the reasons we don't use ordered list much. But again, if you want to, you can, but we generally don't. Generally, what we do, we create an unordered list, which is a UL. And inside that UL, what do? We create list items inside it. So I'm doing something, don't freak out. Chalo, rehne do, nahi karna. So inside that, if I'll create, let's say, list item one, and I'll copy this up, paste it down multiple times. Let's say 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, and save that and refresh the page. You'll see the difference clearly. No, nothing like that. Preeti, that is fine. But as of now, there are options. You can also give it a type. So you can also mention types down here, but I highly will recommend you don't do it on the HTML. We'll explain this. We'll come back to unordered list at the time when we'll be doing CSS, and I'll give you multiple, like gazillions of options that you can use. But as of now, I'll just keep the unordered list the way it is. Just bullet point representation of whatever things that you're doing out here. But again, of course, you can change them. You can change them to images. You can change them to nothing. You can change them to pretty much everything that you want to. But we'll talk about that in CSS, not right now. But as of now, just understand that UL is just going to be a bullet point representation of things, right? Whatever list item that you'll be giving, you can give it. Okay, right? So that is how we look into it. Any doubts till now? Ordered list, unordered list? Most probably, yeah. We'll start off with CSS, most probably from tomorrow. Now I want you guys to look into, all good? If you're good till here, just quickly give me a yes in the chat section. We'll move ahead quickly. All good, all set, perfect, sure, great, perfect. Now I'm gonna take you to a journey which will be a roller coaster ride. This might confuse you up a little bit, the part which I'm about to start, but keep in mind the part that I'm about to talk is the most important part of any HTML. Divs and spans, we'll talk about divs and spans just in a while. That also I'll talk about today because I'll upload everything from here to GitHub and I'll tell you how to access GitHub. We can, but not right now, using CSS. Nirmal, using CSS will do that. Okay? Okay, Nirmal, we'll do that, but using CSS, not right now. What am I going to start to talk about now is the heart of HTML, which you can't even imagine doing anything apart from this. Got it? So shall we start? Start karen? So it's a heart of HTML. Pretty much every web page, website contains this. And this is really, really important. Please keep that in mind. Very, very important. This is called as HTML forms. Have you heard about forms? I'm pretty sure you might have seen forms. Have you seen forms? Yeah. So that's what we'll have a look on. We'll have a look on forms. Forms are very important, as I said. It's very, very important. Not Google Forms, but the kind of like a form that we'll be creating. Okay. Let's have a look what kind of forms we can create. Now, forms, listen to me. Yeah, input type data. Listen to me. Before I start off with forms, first of all, calm yourselves down. Whatever burden that you're keeping in your head, please put that away because I am about to explain you a very important part, which I definitely don't want you guys to miss off. We'll come back to this form even in CSS and even in your Bootstrap. Okay, they're really, really important, and you should know how to design them properly so that everything goes well. Like, why are we designing forms? We'll talk about it in a little while, but forms are important. So if you're ready, we can start off. Shall we? Start kare? Let's start off. Forms. Forms. Let's discuss about forms. First, let me actually take you to a small little introduction to forms. Now, as I just said, as I just told you, that forms are going to be important. Oh, I didn't get rid of that. Never mind. I'll share you out with the notes as well for the day. Okay. Now, forms, as I told you, it's really, or rather, let me actually go ahead and create another new page. Okay, and I'm just not gonna name it anyways right now. So yeah, let's have a look on it. So what are we discussing? We are discussing something called as HTML forms. HTML forms are, as I said, it's important. What are the uses of the form? Like, why are we using form? Point one, we are using form. Okay, like why does somebody gives you a Google form to fill up? Like, what's the use? What's the actual use of a form? Guys? Yes, take data from the user. Yes, take data from the user or collect data from the user, right? Simple as that. Get information, get data, and use that data however that you want. Okay. Now, we are taking the data from the user. Makes sense. Now, what are the use cases? Like, where are we? At what positions when you are creating the website? We are going to use this most of the time to collect info. Second part is going to be when you're trying to sign up or when you're trying to sign in. These are the only three cases that you will be creating forms in your application. Maybe you want to collect any info, like maybe feedback or maybe your general questions, feedback, suggestions, and all these things. Either you'll be collecting info or you'll be making your user sign up to the application. For example, Facebook. You create your account on Facebook first and then go ahead and log in with that credentials. So either you will be signing up your user or what you'll be doing, you'll be signing in your user. These are the only three test cases that you'll be having throughout when you'll be creating forms in HTML, right? You have to be very, very particular about what type of form you are creating, what audience you are catering, and what will this form will give you out of the box. Okay. And one very, very, very important thing, don't forget this, every form gets posted, give the data to somebody. Just as of now, just keep it this way. I'll explain it to you in greater detail, but keep in mind, every form gets posted, every form gets submitted. Every form gets submitted. Or rather than calling it posted, I should rather call it submitted. Every form gets submitted. No matter what, every form will get submitted. But just for a quick, knowledge for you people, if you're using JavaScript at the backend, you can default this behavior. I'm not pretty sure how many of you have seen that or not, but there is something which is called as prevent default, a method that you can use, which for in you can use that prevent default, a prevent default function wherein you can stop this normal behavior of the form of getting posted or getting submitted to any backend. We'll talk about it. But as of now, I just wanted to give you that using JavaScript, you can stop this normal behavior. But as of now, I'm not going to go dig too much inside that. So this is what forms looks like. All right. Now I'm going to talk about something really, really important. And in this form, we are going to have a look on three things. Forms, how to create forms. Second, we're going to have a look on something of an important task called as div. And an important part called as span. Okay. So divs and span, it's not like it's only used in forms. You can use it here as well. But this is the best typical use case that we'll be have look on, that how to use forms, divs and spans together, and what are the normal behavior of forms, divs and spans. Okay, so this is where we'll be using them. Okay, so let's go ahead and create a form. Now we are just using HTML, guys. Please keep that in mind. By default, the form is going to look ugly, but it's going to do all its functionalities. We are just creating the layout of the form. We aren't styling any form right now. So please keep that in mind. Using Bootstrap will make it look pretty, or maybe using CSS will make it look pretty, but as of now, it's going to look horribly ugly. So please excuse me for that. Okay, but just try to understand that how do you create the structure of a form, which is really, really important. Okay, so that's what we'll be doing. Now, what are we going to do? We are going to create a form. So for that, in HTML5, you have a semantic which is called as form. A form as a tag. You have something called as form, right? So we have a form. In that form, let's say, what do I want to do? I want to take the following input from the user, okay? And try to understand that how am I using this following input in order to give that to my user, okay? Just try and understand this. Let's say I want to get the full name from the user, full name from the user. Next thing that I'll be needing is going to be the email from the user, email. And then we will be using password from the user, a password. And then we'll be taking his or her gender from the user. And then we'll also be taking feedback from the user. And then at the end, we will be talking about or taking a kind of like a PDF file from the user, PDF file from the user, or just a PDF. I'm just going to write a PDF file. So these are the following input that we use. And at the end, we'll just give him a submit button, option to submit the form. Got the point that what are we going to create? Guys, make sense that what are we going to create? Make sense? Great. All right. Now, let's go ahead and create that. Okay, let's go ahead and create that. Now, when you're creating a form, there will be two parts of the form. One, the info part. The another one will be data taking part or the user input part. What do I mean by that? The info part is called as a label. Label basically means that what are you taking this data for? Like, what is the use of the taking data? Like, what are you going to do with that? As of now, I'm just gonna name it full name. So I'm taking this label as a full name, and I'm just gonna say full name, just like this, full name, right? So this is a label. Now, if I save this and refresh, it's just going to tell you a label, just like a normal label for the form, right? You can give it informational things as well, right? Now comes the important part, the text box that we'll be using in order to get the data from the user. This is called as input. There is a type which is called as an input. And in that input, there is an attribute called as type. In this type, you just mention what type of input you want. Here, we are only expecting a text type input. Okay. So now if I save this and refresh it, you'll see just a small little text box, which basically gives you a way of writing whatever you want, taking input, because that's what we wanted. We wanted a form wherein we'll be able to take the input from the user. What we have to do so that the code will be present on the website. Didn't get you. Please ask it in another way. I didn't get your question and answer. Okay. We'll talk about it. Abhi, what is label? Label is just a way of telling that what is this input box doing. If I don't write label, if I comment this off, I have literally no idea what this box is for. Do I know like what am I going to do with that box, Harshita? So it's just giving information that, hey, this text box that you can see, here you have to write your full name or email or password or whatever stuff. So basically label just tells you what to do. Okay, but what is this text box for? Now you can even make this input type look even more pretty by using another HTML attribute called as placeholder. So in the placeholder, you're going to find out written kind of like in a gray text, you'll find out something written out here. Let's say enter your full name, right? Now, if I save this, refresh this, you'll see a gray colored item. Yeah, using JavaScript. Guys, calm down. Don't go into functionalities right now. We'll discuss this, but as of now, just focus. See, I told you, don't take your brains on multiple paths. As of now, just understand. I'll explain it to you everything about databases, how it works, everything we'll talk about. As of now, just learn how to design forms first. Guys, make sense? Chicken, I'll explain it to you. Arey, wait. I'm explaining you everything. Calm down. So here you'll see placeholders and input type text. If I ask you, what is the input type? What is the type of the input type? Guys, is it a block level or is it inline? Yes? Is it a block level or is it inline? It's inline. It's inline. Very important. Very important. Now, somebody in the chat section asked me, sir, what if, I think Saurabh asked me, what if I want this input to be in a new line? What should I do? What should I do? And this is a valid question. Few people said, okay, what's the harm? Go ahead and paste BR. So if I use BR, refresh it, it works. It definitely works, right? You can use BR. But there is another way of doing the same thing. The another way of doing the same thing is to use something which is called as div. If I wrap this around a div, I'll talk about what is a div, but if I wrap this around a div and inside that div, I keep this input and save that and reload this, this is how it looks like. And now you could see that if you inspect this page, if you inspect this, you'll see that this input is wrapped around a div and you can see that div getting inspected. Everyone can see that? Everyone is able to see that? Getting the point? So if you want, listen to me carefully. If you want, I'm repeating Abhi, listen. If you want to convert any inline element into a block level element, put it inside a div. Now, a lot of people will be confused. What is a div? Like, what are we using div or why are we using div? Understand div it this way. I'll give you a best example. You use milk. Milk dekha? Or any liquid substance for that matter. Any liquid substance. Why don't you put milk on a shelf? Like not putting it in any container. Why don't you put it on a shelf like that? It will spill, right? It will spill. Guys, yes, it will spill. Milk is in line by default. It will spill. It will go to places, right? Getting the point? Krishna, we talked about block and inline in yesterday's session. I'm pretty sure that you came to the session for the very first time. Krishna, highly will recommend you go back and watch the videos and then you go ahead and come back. I hope you're getting the example, people. You're getting the example? Are you getting the example? Milk is in line by default. If you just place it on a shelf, it will spill. It will go to places. What you need is a container. A container to put it so that it could take a shape. Same is your div. A div is nothing but an empty container. You can put whatever, just one element, n number of elements, whatever you want to, you can put it inside a div. As simple as that. As simple as this, you can use it just like this. Got the point? Guys, getting the point? Huh? Got the point now? So this is how we use it. This is how we use it. All right. Now, most of the time you're going to find, let me actually give you a better idea how to fix the condition in the text. God, guys, didn't I tell you? I gave you. Dekho, samjho. As of now, try and understand. Guys, try and understand. Your curiosity, I completely understand. I was just curious also. But the whole point is, try to understand this. We are just looking into HTML. Just give me 1 second, guys. Huh? As of now, we are only looking into HTML. HTML is just going to give you structure, just structure. It will tell you how to design things. What are you doing? You're directly jumping onto JavaScript. Oh, okay, I want to validate my form. I want to do this. I want to do that. You're getting the point. Don't jump onto JavaScript. How will I make this look beautiful? How will I make this look this way? Guys, looks and feels. I told you, don't jump onto JavaScript. JavaScript has a lot of things to offer. A lot of things. You can validate your form. You can put default values in your form. You can do a lot of things in your form. But the whole point is that we are not looking into JavaScript. We are only looking into structure right now. If you want to have a look on JavaScript, we'll keep everything, or we'll keep another demo or another session on just JavaScript. Also, that is also something that we can do. But the whole point here is that as of now, we are only looking into HTML and CSS. If you're talking to technical terms, I want to validate this, I want to do that, I want to do this. That case, this session is not for you. Okay, I'll highly will recommend that. I'll tell you how to do that. But I hope everyone is fine. Everything seems to be okay till here. Anything you want to ask? If you're good till here, just give me a yes. I'll explain it to you everything. Don't worry. But as of now, if you're good till here, just quickly give me a yes. Yeah, seems to be fine. Now, most of the time, either you're going to see it this way, or you're going to see it most of the time. You're going to see it this way. That whole of your label. Okay, let's take it this way. Let's actually, rather than taking it full name, let's keep it first name and last name. So let's say I'll copy this whole thing up and paste it down. Arey Vivo bro, chill. Kya pucha? That's what we are doing. Okay, na? So that's what we are doing. Okay? Fix condition in a text box, for example, password in only character and numeric. Abhi to answer kya? My Vivo Pro bro. I just answered your question. I said no, not right now, not using HTML. You'll have to use JavaScript for that. If you have JavaScript, see, guys, do you remember yesterday I told you that HTML is a markup language? It's not intelligent. It cannot make decisions for you. Remember that? Guys, remember that? Yeah. Got the point? No, it's fine. It's fine. No, it's good to be curious. It's not like that I'm complaining that you're asking questions. This is a good thing. You're getting curious for the whole topic, or I'll say for the whole subject. You're getting interested. That's a good thing. But the whole point here is that if you're talking about something intelligent, JavaScript will do it. If you want to make something look pretty, CSS will do it. If you want to create something and align something and create a structure, HTML will do it. Right? No, we cannot. We cannot make anything mandatory just in HTML. We'll have to use JavaScript. Okay? So just the structural part is what the HTML is going to take care of. Just the structural part, nothing more than that. Okay? Chill. Right? Chill. Now, again, if I go here and if I keep it, let's say, first name, and rather than keeping it label, so label is just going to tell you what the first name is. I'll explain it to you. Just give me 1 second. I'll explain it to you once more. Just give me 1 second. So let's say I'm disintegrating it into two things, that I'm taking first name and last name. Okay? Rather than taking the full name, I'm taking first name and last name. So enter your first name and enter your last name, just like this, right? If I save this and refresh the page, you're going to see that everything is coming in the same line. Can everyone see that? Exactly, it's just a bone, nothing more than that. Yeah, and JavaScript is a brain. Getting the point, guys, that everything seems out to be in line. Everything is in line. The form, the label, the input types, everything is in line. Getting the point? Getting the point? Now, what will be a better option? That the way these labels and input types are spilling across, it will be a good option that for every input that I'm taking, I put it inside a div and paste it down here just like this. Getting the point? Now if I save this and refresh the page, you'll see it will come to the new line. Getting the point? Guys, getting the point? This is a better approach. This is a better approach for sure, right? And now a lot of people would be thinking, hey, they're coming to the new line. Again, just to show you that everything will be done in CSS, you'll see that if I write something like this, if I say, let's say, just like this, and save that and refresh the page, you'll see every alignment will be done. But as of now, just bear with me. Just look at the markup right now. But I'll come back to this. I'll do it everything. Quick thing, quick recap, forms. We are keeping forms in order to get the data from the user. In this case, what we'll be doing, we'll be getting the data on various formats. Right now, we are only working on text format. By default, everything that you'll be using in the form, for example, labels and input types, they will be inline by default. If you want to convert them into a block level element, you'll have to put them inside div. Div basically gives you an empty container wherein you can put whatever you want to inside that, so it will create a block. Now, if you inspect this, you'll see that this is still two different elements which does not have any container. But if you'll see this first name and last name, you'll see that there is a div which is wrapping around them. It's a container which is wrapping around them. Yeah, you can do that. See, that is why I disintegrated that. Now, what I'll do, I'll cut this and I'll also put this in div and paste it just like this inside this. Now, if I save this, refresh this, now I'll see that this is also now contained inside a div. Can you see that? Can everyone see that? Everyone see that? So this is how we use divs, and this is why divs are important. Divs are nothing but empty containers. Okay, these are divs which are empty containers. Now the length, the height, the width, whatever you're seeing, the width is small, you want to enlarge it, contract it, make it a little bigger, smaller, everything will be done in CSS. As I just gave you a little example, you can use these stylings down here, like something like this. We'll talk about styles in a little while. But yeah, you can keep it something like this. Let's say 15 pixels or something like that. Now, if I refresh this, you'll see a kind of like a thing out here, right? So for every div, you can go ahead and use it or something like that. This is all styling, right? This is all styling. Okay. No, sign, it will still not work. Even if you keep it required, the form will get submitted. Even if you keep it required, it will still get submitted. That is one of the reasons I don't teach required. And required is actually not required. Sign, got the point? So even if you keep an attribute, okay, so what sign's trying to say here, that we have an attribute which is called as required. And if we make it required, it will not get submitted. It will be a required and a mandatory field, but it's not the case. Even if you keep something as required, it will still get submitted. It will still get submitted. That is why I don't teach, because why confuse somebody when you just simply can't do that. Okay, guys, got the point? So if you want to make something mandatory, you just need to write it in JavaScript. I'll show it to you when we'll be having a last session. I'll give you a little hints, tips and tricks down there for JavaScript, though we have not done JavaScript, but I'll show it to you how you can use JavaScript in order to, go ahead and expand the verticals of your application. That is something that we'll do. Don't worry about it. Sign, got the point? That even if you keep something required, it will still get submitted, no matter what. Until and unless you don't write JavaScript, it will get submitted. Okay, so please keep that in mind. Now, next things that we'll be doing is emails. So for the email also, I'm going to copy this up, paste it down, because of course we have to create a div. And the label here, I'm just going to keep it as email. And I'm just going to ask my user to fill out with his email. Again, the input time I'm keeping text, I'm coming to this in a while. But let's say I'm just in the placeholder, I'm just going to say enter your email. Enter your email. Now, if I save this, it's going to look something like this. Label. Okay. So if I look into it, it's going to look something like this. I'll definitely will do. I'll push everything in the GitHub and I'll give you the link also. Don't worry. Okay. So if you'll have a look on this div, you're going to find out email, and you have an email as a type of text. You can write whatever you want to. Now, if you talk about emails, because yesterday I told you that we are working on HTML5, right? In HTML5, what happens is when you talk about an email is a very standard way of writing something. If you're talking about an email will always look something like username @hostname.com. Guys, yes? This is how an email should look like. This is how an email should look like. Every email should look like this. And this is a basic validation that every form should have by default. And this is how every email does look like. So what do we do? In HTML5, HTML5 basically gave us a way of expressing that. By having an input type, rather than keeping it text, we keep it email. And just see, the moment I was keeping it text before, if I go ahead and write something inside it, it just doesn't give me options. But the moment I keep this type as to be email, just see what will happen. Your browsers are intelligent enough. Now, if I go ahead and look into it, you'll find that even if I write it something like this, now I'll be able to write my email, and there will be basic validation that you can check based on your, whatever values that you're writing. It will take a basic validation. Not even not having JavaScript, but it will take validation. It will help you write better JavaScript at the time when you'll be writing the form validations. Okay, so that for is basically just to tell that what is this label for, because at the time when you create JavaScript, you create variables for them to get the values in the variable, right? So for that, you just need for, just to keep your JavaScript engaged, saying, okay, this is the first name, this is a variable. And you might have seen that I'm writing it something like weird, keeping them as variable names, right? So this is how we do it. Okay, for is just for JavaScript to understand the input types better. So that is why I'm writing this for. Even if you don't write for, that's fine. Don't write for, and even I'm not gonna write for anymore. So let's get rid of these for. But keep in mind, you just need to use it for JavaScript. Again, if you refresh this, reload your page, it's gonna work. Okay, so it's not important for us to write for all the time. Yeah, it will try to validate that whether a given string is a valid email or not. Okay. The reason is this style, the styling that I have used. Can you see, Ram? That only in this div I have a style. On the other div I don't have a style. But if I copy this and paste it to others also, they'll start to look pretty. They'll start to look better. Okay, Ram? Okay, no? Make sense? Okay, now? So let's move ahead. Let's quickly talk about passwords. Password again is pretty much the same thing. So I'm just gonna copy this up, paste it down. And let's say I'm just gonna keep this as to be password. Let's keep the type as to be text. And let's say enter your password. Now again, you might have already observed the error that if I write password, the other person will see my password. So in HTML5, very good. So in HTML5, there is a type which is called as password type. Now if I save this and reload my page, now it will look like a password. Got the point? Guys, I hope passwords is fine for everyone. Password is fine. Huh? So you can give your own passwords, you can set your own passwords and stuff like that. So it's gonna look like a password. No other person will be able to see. I'll do that. Okay, so this is what you can do. Now talking about gender, and this is literally interesting. What are you not able to get it? No. Kushagar, we don't use radio buttons anymore. Radio buttons are like old-fashioned, very old-fashioned. If you want to see any want to see that typing time, again JavaScript, Preeti, JavaScript. For that you have to use a function called a set timeout. So if you're keeping that set timeout, you can pretty much get whatever you want to on runtime, literally on runtime. Yeah, we use select tags now. So are you ready, guys? Let's have a look on gender, shall we? Shall we have a look on the gender? The recordings, can someone please post the recording for the YouTube here? Can someone push the recording for the YouTube link down here in the chat section? Yeah, this is the recording for yesterday's session. Please go through it. Okay, we'll create the playlist. We'll create the playlist. Once you'll be there on Discord, we'll also give it to you in the Discord. We'll keep you guys posted. Okay, don't worry about that. Okay, you guys can already see that there would be the Discord channel that would be already there. You are all added there for the people who have joined the group. Discord link just in a while. Let me finish this. I'll give you everything. Just let me finish. Can we do that? Let's quickly finish the forms and then we'll have a look on all these links and stuff like that. If you'll be having any problems, then we'll do that. Okay. Yeah, we have just a small little time left. So genders, yeah, we were talking about genders. Now, typically when you talk about something which is very limited, okay, something which is limited, in that particular case, what do? You try to keep it like the given values. Let me actually give an example. Typically, just to be socially correct or politically correct, I should say, genders are of 3 types, either male, female, or others, right? So you know that apart from these 3 genders, I'm not going to get any gender in my form. Simple like that, right? So if I go ahead and create a div, now because I know that the values are very limited, what I can do, so I'll just style this up real quick. I'm not going to go into like what this style is all about, but yeah, we'll have a look on it in CSS in very, very detail. Don't worry. But inside this div, what I do, I either create a radio button, which right now is pretty much nobody uses radio buttons, but you can use something which is called a select option. So there is something which is called a select. Inside that select, what you can do, you can give it multiple options because we only have certain options, right? So we just need to give option. And in that option, what I'll do, I'll keep the values. Let's say male, female, and others, just to be politically correct, right? And if I save this and reload, just see how it looks like, right? I didn't put it a label. So let's say a label first. And in that label, I'm just going to say gender. Gender, right? Just like this, gender, and then put it like this, right? Now, if I refresh this, it will have a kind of like a drop down. Everyone can see that? Kind of like a drop down option wherein you can select what do you want. Now, you generally will find out the select option at the time when you are selecting states, when you're selecting, your state, your districts, and all these kind of like things, which are very limited. You cannot go out of the options, right? So in that case, you'll be using that. By default, any of the one will be selected. The very first will be selected. What is the radio button? Radio button again is a kind of like a way. Should I give it to you? Like, do you want to have a look on radio buttons? Though you will not be using radio buttons, but if you want, we can just have a look on it just in case. Do you want to have a look on radio buttons? Up to you. Up to you. Typically up to you. I'm not gonna. Want to have a look on radio button? Want to have a look on radio button? Just in case, I'll just show it to you this way. That there is another input type. I'll just show it to you anyhow. There is another input type. So inside this div only, I'm just going to keep it. So there is another input type. It's called as a radio. So if you keep this as a radio, you can give it a value also. So there is a name and a thing. So let's say if you want to give it like this, you can keep a value perspective and just call it a male, right? And it's going to look something like this. So let's say male, female, and let's say others. So you can keep the radio buttons like that. I'll just show it to you that how these radio buttons looks like. So this is what your radio buttons are. Can you see that? Radio buttons. So you can create labels in front of them before you go ahead and put that. Okay, so you can create a label and you can just be like, what will be the label? Let's say male. Just like this, male, right? You can copy this up, paste it down here, and paste it down here. Paste it here, and paste it here. So let's say male, female, and let's say others, right? So if I save that and refresh this, this is how it looks like. So it's like old way of doing it. Okay, this is an old way of doing it, but we don't use it anymore. Okay, we rather than go to select, but I'm just gonna comment this off so that you can have it for the reference, but we don't, keep in mind, we don't use it anymore. More space and all that, you can go ahead and use it because there are a lot of alignment issues with, these input types. Let's quickly have a look on 3 more input types and then we'll end up with the session, shall we? Let's quickly do that. So we generally either will be using select options. Okay, let's quickly have a look, guys, on the 3 input types that are remaining. If you allow me, we can have a look on it, shall we? Shall we have a look? Okay, quickly. Let's have a look on 3 more input types. So let's copy this, paste this down here. Copy this. Let's paste it to the feedback. And then again, if you have feedback, let's say, now feedback would be a little bigger of a feedback, right? So in that case, what you can do, you can keep it something which is called as text area. Rather than keeping the type as text, there is something which is called as, oh, why am I keeping this input, right? So there is an input type which is called as text area, okay? And you can specify rows and columns inside this text area. If I save this and reload, you're going to see kind of like a feedback, which is an expandable feedback form, wherein you can write a lot of text inside it. Now, input type text and text areas are 2 different things. Please keep that in mind. So this is a text area. You can set the by default, lengths and rows and columns. So if I keep it 30-30, it will be looking something like this. So 30 by 30, right? You can keep it 30 by 10, something like this. Save it. So it's going to look something like this, 30 by 10. So it's the rows and it's the columns. So if you increase the columns, it will, let's say, let's keep it 70 and refresh this, it will span across. Got the point? Guys, got the point? So this is text area. Text area is a bigger text area wherein you can go ahead and fill whatever you want to. So this is how the text area looks like. Does this make sense? Yeah, I'll definitely will share that. But I hope you got an idea about text area. Text area is just a kind of like an input type text, but a bigger area as compared to as out of input type text. Let's talk about files, shall we? Let's quickly have a look on files. Want to have a look on files? Great. Let's have a look on files then. So in files, you can also give your user to choose an option in a file. So let's do that. Let me actually grab this real quick. So let me actually grab this div. Okay. And let's say I want to give my user an option to upload files. Yeah, upload files. I can do that. I can give my user an option to upload files. Let's actually create a label first. And in that label, let's say upload your latest resume. Let's say you can keep it whatever you want. I'm just going to keep it this way. So let's say upload your latest resume. There is an input type which is called as a file type. And what it basically does, it gives you an option to upload your files. Now, if I save this and reload, you could see upload your latest resume and you can actually choose a file and attach it to your form. So you'll see it will just give you an option to select any file. So let's say if I select this file, let's say the HTML file, so it will get selected. So if I open this, you'll see home.html get selected. Got the point? So there is an input type called as file, which helps you upload something. Got the point, people? Got the point? So you can use this input type file also if you want to make something uploadable. Yeah, of course. Date bhi hota hai. Also, if you want to like select the date of appointment, let's just like this. Okay, I just want to like explain it to you that way also. So let's suppose if you want to upload the date of birth, let's say just the date of birth. Even a date of birth will be a cool option that we can select. So just when we get, the before gender, when we get the password, let's keep it date of birth also. So DOB, we are also keeping DOB now. So you can also keep DOB. So let's create a label real quick. Let's keep it this way. Let's call it enter your DOB. Enter your DOB. And if you'll have a look on the input, there is an input type called as date. And there is another which is also called as date time. So both are different. Let's start with date first. If I save this, reload, you're going to find that you get a calendar kind of like a situation out here wherein you can select what was your date of birth or something like that. By automatically given to you by HTML. Got the point, guys? Quickly, got the point? Then there is also something which is called as date time. So in that case, date time and date is a little bit different. So in this case, the date, oh, it's not working. I don't know why. I think is it deprecated or something? But yeah, let's keep it date for now. So date basically will give you the calendar wherein you can select your options today or maybe somewhere other ways or wherever you want to go. So if you have that input type, in that case, you have to select out the time as well. If let's suppose you want to make an appointment or something. So that is the way where you use date and time when you want both the things, date and time. Let's say tomorrow 10 p.m. or tomorrow 10 a.m. or something like that. So you'll use date time rather than just date. Date, it's just like if you want to get a date. So date time is when you'd be needing both of the things. Let's quickly have a look on submit button, shall we? Then I just want to explain you one thing and then we'll end up with the session. Won't take more than 2 minutes and then I'll answer up all your doubts. Shall we have a look real quick? Submit button, quickly. Yeah, we can do that, right? Sure. So if now you want to make the user submit your data, so in that case, you have an input type. Let me actually also put this in the div. And what I'll do, there is an input type, which is called as submit, a submit input type. And here is a property or a HTML attribute called as value, which is going to actually take a value saying submit. Or you can keep it just submit. Okay, or you can keep it submit data or whatever you want that button to contain. If I save this and scroll down, you're going to see submit. Okay. Now, I quickly want to explain you one thing. Everyone pay attention. Whatever you're doing, leave it for a while. And I really want to explain you something. Are you ready? If you're ready, quickly give me a yes, and then we'll just talk about files. Could be any files, any files. Again, using JavaScript, you can check what type of file is it by checking its description and all that things. Now, this is important. Please try to understand this. Okay. If you have a form, as I told you, the default behavior of the form is going to be, that is styling, Tejas. Styling mein mat jao. You can keep it. You can. You have a lot of things for alignment. We'll make it. Don't worry. So by a default behavior, I'll explain you. Wait a second. A default behavior of a form is to take your data, whatever you put inside the form, to post it to a backend. That is why every form has an attribute called as an action attribute. This action will take you to somewhere. Let's say my DB or let's say my backend.php. Let's say anything that you want to, right? Let's say this is where it is, right? You have deployed it somewhere and this is the URL that you want to post it to, not even using hash Kushagra. If I save this and click on the submit button, just see what will happen. If I reload the page and click on the submit button, you will see that this will take you to something wherein the backend will be my backend.php. Can you see that? Are you able to see that? Everyone is able to see that? And it says, hey, this backend couldn't be expressed or couldn't be accessed. The reason is that this kind of like a backend doesn't exist, right? So please keep that in mind. Every data that you write, yeah, with input type, obviously a post request with input type. Okay, now I'm not going to go into what post requests are and all these things. But keep in mind, along with your data, it is going to, get post, put, patch, delete. There are a lot of requests, but exactly, everything that you have asked from the form, every data will be collected in the form of an object, and it will be pasted to a backend. That backend is going to do something for you. Okay, got the point? I hope this action makes sense to everyone. Quickly, action. Every form has an action. Every form has an action. Okay, so please keep that in mind. Very important. Now, somebody was asking me about span. Okay, so let's quickly have a look on span, shall we? Shall we have a look on span? Explain Git. I'll not explain Git, I'll explain GitHub. Because I want to see the whole point of creating form is to get the data. We are clicking on the submit button and taking that data. Yeah, I'll share you the whole code. Don't worry, I'll share you the whole code. Okay? No, if we write submit time, no, that will have a look on in the action part, in the Bootstrap part. It's not like that you only need to keep it a button. You can also write it something like this. Rather than creating an input type, you can simply make it a button. There is also something which is called as a button, and you can just be like submit data or anything that you want to. Again, if you save this, refresh, you'll get a button. This button is not going to do anything as of now. It's taking you to submit data, but you can also mark it as a button. You can create a button, something like this. Every form should be going to a backend. Simple as this. Every form has a default behavior of to take your data to a backend using an action attribute. But just keep this in mind. Rest of the part, all good, all settled up. Got it, people? Got it? Yeah, this is automatically done by form. You don't have to worry about that. Real quick, I'll just upload this everything in the, we'll get it. Let the session get over and we will give you the link for today's session. Also, don't worry about that. So let's quickly add, let me actually add it to Git. So I'm just making a commit named as day 2. So I think it will be uploaded by now. So let's go to github.com. It's got to be, I'm giving it to you. Don't worry. So I have a repository called as FSD workshop. And out here, you will see, guys. Wait a second. I have made 2 commits. One commit I've just made like 30 seconds ago, day 2. So when you come down here, I'll share you the link of the GitHub in a while. So this GitHub link, you can have a look on it if you'd be needing code. Here's the GitHub link for that. But first, understand how to access the code. So when you come here, you'll find the assets, you'll find everything. Alongside, when you open it, you'll have something called as 2 commits. I'll explain you just 1 second. First understand this, how to get the code. When you click on these 2 commits, you will see 2 commits called as day 1. Day 1 contains all the code that we wrote in the first day. And then you'll have second commits that will be here, which we have done throughout in the whole thing. The whole code that we wrote in the entire day will be down here. GitHub is a way of to secure your code or push your code somewhere or to reserve your code somewhere. And anytime whatever we'll be doing throughout the session, you can go ahead and find the code out here in this GitHub repository. It's a version control, exactly. It's a version control. But it's a version control. So in that case, you can mention your thing out here. Okay. One thing more, you can start it. If you don't want to go into the repository over and over again, you can start this repository. Once you get the repository, I'm again sharing the repository with you people. This is the repository. Okay. You can start it. You can don't fork it. You don't know how to fork it. Just start it. And this repository will be in your repositories itself, right? It will reflect in your own repository. So you can go ahead and start this repository if you want to, only if you want to, not asking you to, but you'll find all the code here. Okay, so you can go ahead and do whatever you want to with this repository. Another, you can contact me anytime. This is the link or LinkedIn page, the Innomatics LinkedIn page. Go ahead and give us a follow. We'll talk about that. Like maybe on the last day of the session, I'll give you that also. Okay, span kal discuss karenge Divya, aaj nahi discuss kare. And this is my GitHub. Just in case if you run into some problem, please feel free to push your doubts here, or if you want to connect, you can also go ahead and connect with me on LinkedIn. Okay, up to you. So Yeah, Discord links for the people who might have joined a little bit late. Here's the link for the Discord. And please make sure that you're all enrolled in the Discord, because in the Discord will make you go or make you yourself a server, and there is where you can have a chat with your peer people. You will be able to chat with me. I'll be there a part of the channel and all that. So yeah, that is something that you can do. Everybody got the GitHub link. Everyone got the Discord link. Everybody got the recordings link. And the recording for today, the whole playlist will be shared by you on Discord itself. I'll do that. How to create a GitHub account? Nothing. You just go to GitHub. Just go to GitHub and just simply sign up, right? Just simply sign up. So if I sign out my account, you can go ahead and sign up. Just sign up. It's free. It's nothing like that. It's just free. Go ahead and sign up, and you will be able to get all these things, right? So just go ahead and sign up. Okay. So you can just continue and all that. Just sign up and create an account and use that link which I just shared out with you. Can I use VS Code terminal to push changes in the GitHub? That's what I just did. I literally just did that. Okay, so if you know how to work on Git, you can use VS Code terminal to do that. Okay. Mukesh, just text me or just text me. I'll just give me your on when you'll be in Discord, you can text me there. Okay, just text me there. I'll add you up. Yeah, you can do the same thing in Sublime. Yeah, I mean, definitely you'll have to. Yeah, this is just a quick workshop for just the UI perspective. VS Code extensions. So I'm using quite a lot of extensions. I'm not pretty sure if you'd be liking these extensions or not, because I work on a multiple technology. It's not like that I only stick to React or something like that. So I have a lot of things, as you'll see. I have Angular, snippets. I have Beautify, which just makes all the indentation for me. I have a lot of, I use Docker, I use React, ESX, React, Redux, GraphQL, React Native snippets. I use ESLint, I use Express, I use Git Graph, CSS code, HTML snippets, TypeScript. I use a lot of things. I even use Thunder Client and all that. If somebody knows to use how to work on Postman and all that, it's a library actually. React is a library. It's not a framework, it's a library. We make it look like a framework, but it's not a framework, it's a library. It's definitely a library. Could you please tell me, like in 30 seconds, what Docker is? 30. Oh, okay, so it's basically like a container, a Nginx container. It's kind of like that you're keeping it on a server and you're running it locally. Okay, so it's kind of like that thing. So you can use Docker. Node.js. Node.js is basically a JavaScript runtime. So you can use Node.js for doing a lot of things. It contains a lot of different libraries in order to work on React. For example, Redux, Thunk, Logger. There are a lot of things on Node.js, Mongoose. So you can create APIs. You can design. It's just a JavaScript runtime. Name of the group. We'll add you to the group and I'll text you. Just in a while, the moment I'll end the session, I'll text you in the group itself. And yeah, I'll do that. So the name of the server is maybe full stack dev naam se hoga. You can just go ahead and check that out. How to make a form shareable? By deploying it. Deploy it on a server and give the link and pass that link to everybody. For data structures algorithm, I'll say it depends on you. Like where you see, language is not a barrier. You can do the data structures algorithm in Java. You can do data structures algorithm in C, C++. Language is not a barrier. The only thing is that you should know what those data structures do. So if you're good with data structures as a concept, I don't think that language is a barrier. Okay. No, just the front end, just the UI part. Okay. All right. So I will give you the link in the Discord itself. Okay. Sure. All right, guys. Thank you so much for joining the session. I hope you enjoyed the session. I really hope that you have learned something out of these sessions. And we'll be meeting tomorrow at the same time, guys. And please go ahead and use this link. And of course, if you just in case again need that link for the GitHub, I'm sharing it out with you people again. Okay. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. I hope you enjoyed it and I hope I'll be seeing you tomorrow. Okay. Sure. All right, guys. Thank you so much. Bye bye. We'll be meeting tomorrow. Okay. Bye bye, guys. Bye bye. Bye bye.